I am back with the 50th video on my channel, so thank you all very much for liking, sharing and subscribing if you have been. And for this video I'm going to do the Egyptian god deck profile, and the reason why I'm doing this is because about a year to 2 years ago my first videos featured these two Egyptian god cards, Slifer and Obelisk, on the game, which is sitting right there. And the Slifer one was the first video I ever did, so I feel like he has to be there for that reason. Because all I did, and Obelisk is here because it's actually the most popular video on my channel. So thank you very much for viewing that. The only thing I hated about the video at the time was all it was just me playing the game, showing off these two monsters, and I didn't really talk throughout the whole thing. So that's one reason why I didn't like it, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people were actually pleased not to hear my voice. But this is mainly about Obelisk. As you can see, there's a lot of them in the video right now, and because he is actually the deck profile I did on the game, and he is the most popular. It was the most popular video I did. So for that reason, I'm doing the deck profile on these cards. And I'm actually kind of glad they released new support, because it's made these decks so much more playable. Wind Dragon of Raws had a lot of support recently, and it was just nice to see that Obelisk and Slifer both got their own unique support as well. So that's why Raw is currently just sitting there in the wing, no pun intended. So with that being said, let's get on with this review. And if you like this video, be sure to keep liking, subscribing, and subscribing to the channel. If you haven't already, please do, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified when new videos come up. So let's get started. So here we have 3 Obelisk the Tormentors. My personal favorite out of all the Egyptian gods, just because it's the one, for one, it's the one card that isn't a dragon, and it has a fixed attack and defense stats. It can be special summoned, but obviously it's sent to the grave, and it nukes the field of all your opponent's monsters, and it has protection, whereas the other 2 Egyptian gods really don't have protection, and Ra can't be special summoned, and their attacks is based on well, depending on the circumstances. In Slifer's case, how many cards you have in your hand. Ra's case, how much life points you're willing to sacrifice just to beef him up, as well as the other support that basically gives him a set attack of 4,000 and defense of 4,000. So for this reason, obviously, I do prefer Obelisk the Tormentor above the other 2 Egyptian gods. And speaking of, I like to point out that this is a Hand of God deck, because all the cards from now on are hand support. And seeing as our Obelisk acts out using his fist, and the hand cards are just helpful for this deck in general, based on the fact that if they're destroyed typically by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon their opposite counterpart. So in Fire Hand's case, you can summon out Ice Hand. In Ice Hand's case, you can summon out Fire Hand, and they both nuke either the background or the front ground, depending on which one gets destroyed. So with Fire Hand, you obviously can destroy monsters. Ice Hand, you take out the back row, which is the spell and trap cards. And that's all I have to say about Ice and Fire. And next we have 3 Thunder Hands. I do like this card, actually. It basically helps. What does it do again? Let's take a quick look. So if this face-up card you control, if a face-up monster you control it with 1600 attack or defense is destroyed by battle or by an opponent's card effect, sent to the graveyard while this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field, and if you do, destroy 1 card your opponent controls. So this card's really good because it's, as I've just said, you can special summon it as extra support, and if it leaves the field, I think, if it leaves the field, well, basically it can just target 1 card and destroy it if you use its upper abilities. So this card is really good for that reason. Next we have 2 Prometheus Hands. This card's really helpful because when you've got Fire or Ice Hand on the field, you can special summon this card directly from your hand to the field. So, and it's a nice 2,000 defense. It's just an extra excuse to play another hand card as well as another card to special summon it. Oh, I did say Fire and Ice. I also meant to include Magic Hand there, which I'm not running this deck, unfortunately, because it doesn't really help as much. Next, we have 3 reactor slimes. Now this card's really helpful with the Egyptian gods because it mainly supports them. During the main phase you can activate the effect where you can special summon 2 slime tokens, and also you cannot normal summon or special summon for the rest of this turn except Divine Beast. So basically you summon this out and you get 2 extra monsters. And if you can find the way to play get an additional normal summon, you can tribute all 3 to summon out an Egyptian god. You contribute this card to set 1 metal reflex sign from the hand, deck, or graveyard, and it can be activated this turn. You can only use the effect of this card once per turn. So this card's really helpful. I do like the fact that they included the slime cards with the Egyptian gods, considering the first time we saw these monsters, it led up to the summoning of Slife of the Sky Dragon. So, yeah. I do like the slime monsters. I do find it a bit weird how they chose slime above all to summon out gods, but then who am I to question that one? Next we have 3 Scapegoats. Now this card's really helpful when it comes to the Egyptian gods, because as soon as it's flipped, you can special summon any number of black sheep tokens. So in this case, if this card's flipped, you could have an additional 4 tokens, and it doesn't say that they can't be tributed, so that's really helpful because obviously once flipped, you get 4 extra tokens and you contribute 3 of them to summon out your god, and then you, in Obelisk's case, you contribute the other 2 and basically destroy your opponent's entire field. So that's a nice, handy flip effect monster. Next, for the spells, we have 3 Fist of Fate. I absolutely love this card. I love the artwork. I love the fact that you just basically see Obelisk basically fisting the ground, or whatever it's fisting, I don't really know. And its effect's quite helpful and decent as well. You can activate this card, and the activation of this card cannot be negated, so it's got protection. If you control a monster whose original name was Obelisk tormenter, negate the effect of 1 monster on your opponent controls, and if you do, destroy it. And if you do that, for the rest of the turn, the effects of that monster are negated, as well as the activated effects and effects on the field of monsters with the same original name. So it negates 1 monster and destroys it, but it stops all other monster effects under the same cards, under the card's name. I hope you understand that, because I could have barely said that. If you activate this card during your main phase, you can apply this effect, destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls, but you can only use 1 Fist of Fate per turn. So this card is really good. Obviously, if you've got Obelisk on the field, you can basically destroy a monster, negate its abilities, negate its copies, and if you're doing it during your main phase, you can destroy all spells and traps that's on your opponent's side of the field, and it's a quick play spell. So not only can Obelisk's normal summon not be negated, but you can play this card during that turn and just nuke off a lot of the cards that's on your opponent's side of the field. So this card's really good for that. Next, we have Soul Crossings. Now this card's a beast of a card. It's got the same overall image of the battle on Battle City's Blimp involving Kyber and whatever that woman's name was, that fortune teller. But I think he used Soul Exchange for that. But this card is, in my opinion, a lot better, because during your main phase, immediately after this card resolves, tribute summon a Divine Beast monster. When you do, you can tribute monsters your opponent controls, even though you do not control them. But if you tribute summon this way, apply this effect until the end of the next turn. After this card resolves, you can only activate 1 card or effect per turn, not counting the effects of the Divine Beast. So you can activate the Divine Obelisk's effect, and then you could activate 1 additional effect from another card after this card's activation. Or you could activate 1 card and then use Obelisk's effect. So this card's really good because it gets rid of all your opponent's monsters potentially, and you can summon out a big monster, and yeah, you can use additional effects after that. So next on our list we have True Name. Well, the True Name. Now what I like about this card is the ability to special summon a divine monster. Basically the effect is you declare 1 card's name, excavate the top card of the deck, of your deck, and if it's a declared card, add it to your hand. Then you can add or special summon 1 divine monster from your deck, but you can otherwise send it to the graveyard. But you can only activate this card once per turn. Now this is really helpful because it lets you basically get an extra card to your hand, as well as getting a monster out, Divine Beast wise. The only problem with it is not knowing what you're going to draw next, and that's where this card comes in handy. Card advance. So you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and you can place them in any order, and then put them back in the top of the deck. And then it also has an additional effect where you contribute summon one monster in addition to your normal summon or set this turn, but you can only activate this card once per turn. So ideally, you want to play this card first. Probably should have shown them the other way first, but play this card first. Reset your deck slightly, then play True Name, because by that point you're going to know what card's on the top of your deck anyway, and you can get a Divine Monster if you choose so. Whether you want to summon it or add it to your hand, that's completely up to you. Next, we have 2 supply squads. I've already mentioned before that the hand cards are effects usually apply if they're destroyed, and if they are, this card's effect will let you draw a card as well as you special summon one of your hand monsters, either from the hand or from the deck, I believe. But this card will also allow you to draw an additional card, thinning the deck out and potentially getting what you need, as long as these cards are obviously face up on the field. You can only do it once per turn, but it does help the deck slightly if you have that extra draw power, especially if you draw a bad hand. Next, we have Raigeki. And finally, we have Monster Reborn. Now, moving on to the traps. Literally don't have many. 3 called the Haunteds. It's necessary to special summon as many monsters as you possibly can, and you can use this on Obelisk, but it is sent to the graveyard at the end of a turn due to its own effect. But it's a real handy card. And again, I don't mean any puns when I mention the word hand in every sentence I give out. Finally, we have 2 Metal Reflex Slimes. Obviously, you need it for the reactor slime, but also you need it for one other particular card, which I'm going to get to very shortly. Now, for the side deck, if all else fails and Obelisk doesn't do the job correctly, we have Slifer. In this case, we have 3 of them. Slifer the Sky Dragon. And a very cool looking card, as Mokuba put in the anime. And it is a very, very popular monster next to Obelisk. And, I don't really know how popular it is. I don't even know which one of them is the most popular Egyptian god card. I do know that Slifer is really good. There's a lot of videos. Even my first one, in fact, I featured how I managed to get this card to 16,000 attack strength. So if you want to see that video again, it's literally the first one I ever did. So yeah. Next, for extra support, because Obelisk has protection by its own effect, but Slifer doesn't, and that's why we have 2 Hardened Arm Dragons. Tribute this card and summon a level 8 or higher monster, and it gains protection by card effects. And it can be special summoned just by sending 1 level 8 or higher monster from your hand to the graveyard. And I do apologise, I've just misread one tiny bit of information. The sending effect, yes. If you tribute a level 7 or higher, so not a level 8, I do apologise. So, this card's really helpful to help out your Slifer the Sky Dragon because it has no protection beyond its summoning. Next, we have 3 Thunder Force attacks. Now, I've never really given this card much read as far as I'm aware. It lets you draw additional cards, but how does it work exactly? This card's activation cannot be negated. So again, it also has protection, just like Fist of Fate. If you control a card whose original name is Slifer, destroy as many face-up monsters your opponent controls as possible. Then you can activate. Then if you activate this card during your main phase, apply the following effect: draw cards equal to the number of monsters destroyed by this effect and sent to your opponent's graveyard. Also, you can only attack with 1 monster this turn. Well, that's pretty good, because if your opponent's got like a full field and you somehow pull off summoning that Slifer the Sky Dragon and play this card at the same time, you will get an instant 5 cards in your hand based on how many monsters are destroyed. If it's a total of 5, you get 5 cards in your hand, and you get Slifer the Sky Dragon up to 5,000 attack strength. And this card's effect can't be negated. So this is a really, really good card. I love the artwork on this. The detail in it is just superb, as well as Fist of Fate is as well. But Thunder Force, I don't know. I think it looks more slick, and given the fact it's a quick play, that's also a handy card to play. Next, we have 2 Divine Evolutions. I don't really favour this card so much. I mean, its text is overly written. This card's activation and effect cannot be negated. So again, more protection. Choose 1 monster you control whose original type is Divine Beast or whose original name is the Wicked Avatar, Wicked Debroot, or the Wicked Eraser. Except a monster already affected by Divine Evolution. And it gains 1000 attack and defense if its effect activation and its activated effects cannot be negated. Also, it gains the following. When this card declares an attack, you can make your opponent send a monster they control to the graveyard of their choice. Wow, okay, so that was a mouthful. So I don't really know if I want to talk about it or not. All right, so it's got protection. It targets any of the gods or any of the wicked creatures. And again, it gives them an extra attack and defense boost. And their effects, something about their effects can't be negated. I don't know. Right, I'm just going to skip it. Google it if you want to, but it's too much of a mouthful for me. Next, we have 3 Mound of the Bound creations. Now, this card works with any level 10 monster. Basically, it gives them immunity. And if they destroy an opponent's monster, they deal 1,000 points worth of damage. Basically, they can't be affected by card effects and can't be targeted by card effects. I mentioned about the battle thing. Let's see, whereabouts do I need to get to it? Ah, yes. When this card on the field is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 divine monster from deck to hand. So, although this card's not in the side of the deck that contains Obelisk and Tormentor, but it's in the side deck with Slifer, if you was to willing to play Slifer, this might be helpful, obviously. It definitely is helpful, should I say. Obelisk can't be targeted, but it doesn't have immunity from being destroyed by card effects in general. So this card would help, as well as Hardened Arm Dragon. That will also give it that effect as well, to be protected from card effect damage. But if you was to run both God cards, then yeah, definitely run this, because then you can just pick and choose whichever one you search for, depending on if this card gets destroyed or not. Last but not least, we have 2 Ultimate Divine Beasts. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of this card's artwork. I don't know why. It doesn't sit with me. Something about like only being able to see half of Slifer's body going through what looks like a ring, like a dimension of some sort. But the effect, I think, is overall pretty unique and helpful. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can discard 1 spell or trap card, then target 1 Divine Beast monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position, then change the attack target to it. During the end phase, if you control a Divine Beast monster, you can destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls that activated their effects on the field this turn. But you can only use this card's effect once per turn. So, in a nutshell, this card will let you summon out Obelisk and or Slifer, just by sending the spell trap to the grave. It summons them in defense, but then they become the attack target. So if they have a high enough defense, the battle damage difference will go directly to your opponent if their attack is weaker than your monster's defense. But not with that, during the end phase, if you control a Divine Beast monster, you can destroy all face-up cards who activated their abilities this turn alone. So yeah, it's a nice trap card, given its effect. But other than that, there's not really much else I can say about it. Now, this is the point I mentioned earlier about Metal Reflex Slime. And I said this in a previous video about Red Eyes Dark Dragoon being overpriced. I don't have the Egyptian God Slime. Currently speaking, I think that card is going for like 40, maybe £50 or something silly like that. And I stated before, I will not pay more than, I've never paid more than £20 for any card. For £40, you could do a shop, right, at any retail market and get shopping for an entire week with that amount of money. Hell, you could even get probably 2 bottles of Jack Daniels if they're on offer for £20. So, even though the card's probably going to last as long as it's going to last, probably last a little longer than any alcoholic spirits I would presumably buy. By the way, if you're going to buy, I'm not trying to influence anyone on alcohol, but if you do buy any, please drink safely. I do have cards for the extra deck though. I'm not really going to go into detail and show them. Sometimes I might run them, sometimes I might not. But I do have some, because there's quite a lot of level 4s. So we have number 101, Silent Anarch, Heroic Champion Excalibur, Dark Rebellion Dragons, we have 3 of those. Number 59, Crooked Cook, Zubaba General, number 39, Utopia, ×2, just different artwork, really nice design by the way, and Chaos 39 Utopia. So the extra deck is just there for convenience. It's not perfect in any which way, and given the fact that this this deck is lacking the Egyptian God slime, it's really depressing to say that none the least. However, with or without it, the deck overall is real fun to play. So it's not competitive in any way. You can make it competitive. Well, obviously, I feel like without the slime, it's not going to be. But again, I will not pay the amount of money it's asking for on most sites that are selling it. So, guys, that is my video for today, featuring the Egyptian gods. I hope you like it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and even comment. Tell me what you think about this video. And please view all my others if you wish. And hopefully I will do some more for you, and I'll get them uploaded as soon as possible for your personal enjoyment. If you do enjoy these videos, also make sure you tell your friends about them, and please hit that notification bell, because I really do like to see people viewing my channel, and I would also be happy to hear what your thoughts are on these videos. So with that being said, thank you all very much. I'll see you all next time. Take care.